And anytime somebody shares their hair with me, oh, Mariam, this was my hair before and this is my hair now, I always ask them, is it okay for me to share? Because I want to show people. If you say it's not okay with you, I'm not going to. But then my of customers wanted to have their hair online. So I think that's one of the things that people saw or are still saying that keeps them coming back, because the results don't lie. When you see this product actually works on someone, you're also going to be like, oh,
Inspired.
let me try this product. Maybe it's going to work for me. I need to.
So we've talked about where Phenomena by Maria is coming from. You wanting to look beautiful, so it translated to you wanting to make people beautiful.
Yeah.
But where is Phenomenal by Maria at this time?
All I want to say is you're only just getting started.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you guys are going beyond the sky.
Exactly.
That's awesome. But now many young people look up to you. Do you see yourself as a role model?
I am actually to my younger siblings and to other younger women online. I've met so many amazing women where they told me that, oh, Mariam, you inspire me so much.
Yeah.
Almost every single day I get messages from people that, oh, Mariam, you inspire me. I want to be like you. I always tell them you can be better, because I also want to be better. I am not where I want to be.
Does that come with any feeling of responsibility?
Of course, you can't feel them. You can't feel the younger generation, because I'm also young, but there are like teens looking up to me who believe that, oh, if Mariam can do it, I can also do it. So why feel?
What's your fear, like your concern about young women entering business today?
Honestly, I don't think I have any fear, because I
You
believe
think every woman can thrive?
yeah, we can if you set your mind to it. I believe what people struggle with is the courage to start. But once you have the courage to start, you can achieve anything. It's just for you to find the courage and who are you within? The courage and who are you within? What do you want to achieve? Is it that you want to be popular online, or
Because this person is doing it, I also want to
exactly,
do
or
it.
do you have something that's within yourself that you feel like, oh, you can give it back to the world?
Yeah.
So it's not just about making a name, but it's about making a real impact.
But don't you think men also need to learn financial literacy for them to be able to thrive?
When I've been to schools,
Okay.
I think the world is really, really changing, and we've been getting a lot of improvement.
Let's talk about mentorship. Do you think mentorship actually help in business thriving?
Of course it does. I have mentors. I have women I look up to. I have them. Sometimes when you feel stuck, you tend to reach out to them. And I always tell people too that anytime you need advice, reach out to me. I can advise you. I also have people that I take advice from. Sometimes you feel stuck. You don't know what you do. But there are like women that are doing far better than you. So you reach out to them and be like, oh, please, I need your help. How am I going to overcome this? I'm facing so. And they'll put you through.
Talking about being a mentor now, what kind of legacy do you think you want to leave for younger girls?
I want, when young women think about phenomenal, they think about honesty, quality, and femininity. And I want them to know that it's possible to break the stereotype. It's possible to achieve whatever it is that you set your mind to. And that I want them to believe that you can build something meaningful, because people will always talk, whether you're doing well or not.
So you need to go to the
Exactly.
the
You have
market
to
with a
close
thick
your
skin.
ears, go for
Yeah.
what you want. And I think because people talk, so you don't just put that energy into defending yourself, because you don't defend yourself to people. They always have something to say about you. So you use that energy to put it into your work and grow your business. Because I always say that let your results speak for you. And because results don't lie. So whatever you do, people are watching. So if you're doing bad, it's going to be there. If you're doing good, the results are going to be there.
So you need to actually make it out of that business for you to reply to people. That is like your reply to your
Exactly.
commentators or people.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Mariam. Let's move to the part where we ask hard questions. So, do you think entrepreneurship sometimes is romanticized on social media? The way social media makes it look like it's quite easy. If you just start now, you start making money.
I think entrepreneurship teaches you patience more than anything.
Wow.
And it's not always as glamorous as people think, because for me, it has really humbled me. There are days where I cried my eyes out because there was always going to be bad days and good days.
Yeah.
But you have to be resilient to
Yeah,
keep
keep
pushing.
going.
Yeah, even if things don't work out for you, you just have to keep pushing.
So do you think passion alone can build your business?
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. Because I've always had passion for things, but you have to have hard work as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe in luck,
Oh,
but I believe in prayers. Because once you pray about something and you have the yaqeen that it's going to work,
yeah.
it's truly going to
That
work.
is you actually being a very realistic person.
Yeah.
If you work hard, you're going to get it.
Yeah.
If you sleep over it, you're going to lose
Exactly.
it. Okay. So what is the biggest misconception do you think people have about entrepreneurs?
I think the biggest misconception is that because you're an entrepreneur, automatically you're a rich person.
Mm.
Being an entrepreneur doesn't mean you are rich. It just means that you're striving to be rich. Because even Dangote started from somewhere. You can't just wake up and be like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur today and I'm rich. It takes time for you to grow that wealth. And it's not easy. It's not an easy road.
Yes, you see people, because they start selling few things, they're already calling themselves CEO, what, CEO, plastic bottle, CEO.
It's good to actually call yourself a CEO because I think sometimes speaking highly of yourself makes you push forward.
The time when of CEO chair, you just items, but the person has a large CEO chair in a shop. People trying to, romanticize entrepreneurship.
I was like that before. I think I had my little shop then and I was calling myself a CEO, and today here I'm being a CEO.
Yes, of course, you are the CEO, you've got yourself. I think you're what you think of yourself.
Yeah.
Do you think women still work harder than men this time and age before they assess them as being credibility?
Of course. I've said before that for you to achieve something here in northern Nigeria, you have to work twice as hard for people to take you seriously. So imagine you can have two people pitching a business to you. Let's say maybe an office looking for a job. Rest assured, you're going to take the man seriously because the woman
can actually do it.
That's true.
Do you think business and family can coexist? You can manage both together?
Of course. Why not? We have mothers and wives who are breaking the stereotype, who are doing very well in the world. So why should you feel like just because you're a woman you cannot do something? I think it should actually make you, because I believe women are strong and we're resilient and we're good getters.
And I think much patient.
Yeah.
So that's why maybe they try more in entrepreneurship. Okay, what has been your biggest personal failure? It's going away from in the business now.
I really can't think of any. Have I failed? I sometimes ask myself this, but have I really failed? I don't think so.
Mariam, if everything disappear today, all of this business disappear tomorrow, today, could you do it all again? So tell me that one decision that changed your life.
I think it's societal expectations. I just my ears are off hear anything. So because when anyone tells me that get married, my ears are off. Of course, I would. Everybody wants to get married, but you don't have to be one. Exactly. I'm going to get married when you feel you're ready to get married. So you don't tell someone to just go and marry, and that's just it.
Let's talk about the future. Let's talk about Phenomena with Mariam in the future. Where do you see this brand in the future?
I think, I don't even think, I'm sure that Phenomenal is going to be one of the biggest beauty brands in Africa and beyond Africa.
Yes, I would like to ask that, do you see yourself international? It seems we are already international.
Yeah.
Is there a new product you are about giving us that excites you?
That should be a surprise.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
Would you like to, some mentor some entrepreneurs too?
Of course, in the future, I would love to do that.
Tell us, like, a legacy your brand will leave, even if you are all grown, passed away, even if you are alive, generations to come, what do you want this brand to hold?
I want when people remember Hair Phenomenal, they remember trust, honesty, believing in yourself, and building something meaningful. I want Phenomenal to create opportunities for other women because right now I have a lot of women who work for Phenomenal. So I want to create opportunities for other women, and I want people to know that yes, you can be able to achieve anything because I have done it, so can you.
If you can think it, you can get it.
Exactly.
So you're 25 now.
Yes.
Let's multiply it. Let's go to 50.
Okay.
What does success look like at 50?
I should be at home enjoying my money by then. Yeah.
Relaxing.
Yeah.
Should you be retiring at that moment?
I don't think I will retire at 50 because I love to work. But if the money is set, why not? I'll just be using the money to.
Thank you so much, Mariam. It's been an interesting conversation, talking about business, talking about creating a brand from nothing, and facing stereotype, social media backlash when it comes to religion and culture, but still coming out strong. Now we're moving on to the last segment of this spotlight on the rapid fire, where you're given the opportunity to mention one word. This is where you relax, play the game, and we'll round up.
Okay.
So, what do you think, business or comfort?
Business.
Okay. Growth or stability?
Stability.
Profit or loss? Digital or
Innovation.
what does it look like in life? Risk or security?
Risk.
So many people will say risk, but not everybody can actually risk. Money or impact?
Impact.
Leadership or influence?
Leadership.
Okay. Failure or regret?
Failure.
Books or podcast?
Podcast.
Okay. Money or night?
Night.
One word that defines Mariam Barwa.
Phenomenal.
That's interesting. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. This has been Spotlight on S24 television, and I've had interesting conversation with Mariam Barwa. If you are an African woman and you think there's nothing that can be done about your beauty, especially when it comes to your hair, this is the time for you to change your mindset. We got products for you that's increase the length of the hair and even soften it to look like an international lady, because that is what people always strive to get this kind of hair that we see on Indian.
No, this Phenomenal is trying to make you love your own hair.
Okay.
Not trying to look like someone else.
You've heard from Mariam Barwa,
Yeah.
and that is what we're giving you from Phenomenal by Mariam. Goodbye for now. My name is Zainab Ibrahim, and I remain your host.
While working for somebody, I was never fulfilled as an individual. I always felt something was lacking. The Nigerian environment is very hard to work in. You're working against everything, or everything is working against you. You have an issue with the government, you have an issue with the clients, you have an issue with workers. But it can be surmountable. My name is Abdul Jalil Batagara. My interest in furniture making began when I was 10 years old, particular time when an uncle of mine made some chairs for my mom. And I was so in love with what he did. So since then, I've been fascinated about furniture making. After graduating for university, I went to work at an investment bank for 7 years. After the investment bank, I went to work for the Nigerian government in a government parastatal, where I spent another 7 years working. While working for somebody, I was never fulfilled as an individual. I always felt something was lacking because my heart was in furniture making. And it got to a point where I said, you know, what's the worst that could happen? The worst that could happen is for me to lose my salary. I just wasn't about money, but you should be excellent at what you do because you have that knack to always be better and better and better and better. The money you get working for somebody with the money you get when you work for yourself. The money is not consistent like a salary is, but when you have a good period of month, you could make what you get. Little your I is the part to do it every day because you don't feel the rewards in the beginning.
This is John Costa reporting for S24 here in Zaria, and we're at the palace of the Emir of Zazal, and I'm absolutely delighted that His Highness has taken the time to speak to us today. So thank you very much for taking the time to speak.
Thank you.
And it's a great honour to be here, so thank you for that.
Same here. You're welcome.
One of the main reasons that I'm particularly keen to talk to you is not only in your role as the Emir, but having been a diplomat and a banker and a lawyer in the past, and having done this exalted role now for 6 years. What kind of approach do you take when you inherit this position after someone that's run it for 45 years and it now comes to you? How do you allay the fears of people that are worried that maybe you'll modernise or not keep to certain traditions? It must be quite a challenge.
Thank you very much, John, for this very interesting question. First and foremost, as of 2020, I was the Magajinga in Zazo, like Lord Mayor, and the second most senior member of the royal family. And at that time, I was, the most senior, because the one that was supposed to be number one and I was supposed to be number two had passed on for almost 10 years, so I was the only one in the forefront. And I held that position for 19 years when I succeeded my late father in 2001. And prior to that time, I was representing my father for 20 years in the same position. So technically, I spent about 39 years in that strategic, position of Magajingari. Since when I was in secondary school, I was representing him in most of the, functions of the Emirate for about 20 years. And then, when he passed on in 2001, I became substantive Magajingari. So for another 19 years. And it was on the 20th year that I ascended this, position. So it was not a new thing to me entirely, but,
And people were aware of you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was very
You were not an unknown entity.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I was very familiar with the system. I was one of the prominent in all sense of mobility. And I was supporting, even though I was not resident here to, to work in the palace, but all important issues were being assigned to me by the late Emir, especially issues on diplomatic community. I know that I was the diplomatic service at that time, but anything to do with the diplomatic community, yes. I was so I had the forest and 1965 the coup that terminated the First Republic in Nigeria, January 15th, 1966. And so by the 8th of June this year, so the day I was born, it was appointed Nigerian ambassador to Pakistan by General Iransi, the military. Hit down. So you can see, a relationship with diplomatics. My brother, the head of the nation in Morocco up until his death. He was also ambassador. He died 2 years ago, while he was still in Morocco. So we have some relationship with Nigerian Foreign Service. So you can see the connection there. So going into foreign service, I think, was normal to me. I see it as, service to the country, and this is what I wanted to do. Even when I was growing as a child, as a student, I wanted to be a deputy. I didn't want me to go. I was the eldest surviving child. I had a brother and a sister that I didn't even know them. My late brother would have 90 this year. He was born 36. He was 30 years older than me. So old enough to be my father. So you can see the age gap between me and my father. So my father didn't want me to leave home and disappear, the world, and go on diplomatic service at that time. He said, yes, if I want to do it, I can do it much later in life, but his health was failing and he was getting very old. So he needed me around. So my late brother ventured into foreign service from the beginning. Actually, he was hired into the foreign service. His first day at work was the day our father died also. So it was a sweet and sour, appointment. So that's the connection there. So you can see from the traditional side, I have been in the system.
You've been involved in this game for a long time.
Absolutely.
One of the interesting things as well, I guess, is when you go and you travel and you see other places, sometimes there's a fear of that you'll come back and bring modernity with you, or
yes.
Whereas in fact, it seems to me like you've gone and seen these other places and realised actually there's a great deal of value in tradition and heritage and culture and keeping it preserved as a way of developing your nation and your state. Your late predecessor, appointed in 1985, was pre-mobile phone, pre-smartphones, pre-the internet, and for 45 years, you gradually become more modern, but because we've got smartphones, we have to change our values or change our traditions.
Yeah, well, you see, empires vanished, from this planet. Why did they vanish? Because they refuse to accept, changes and modernity. So I believe if any system to survive, a modern development in the should them, different areas. You have to sit, you have to embrace changes and, adapt also inside the process. And then, secondly, you need for any right-thinking person, to not to remain in his shell. Any class listen, issues. You're not okay because it's a platform price. You know, to go which can reach people long distances. Times, but today to move forward. That's the reason why preserve historical sites in palace. And those places that went down completely like where we're seated, it was horrible. Felt that so, went down completely. I felt yeah, centered around this area. Unlike my predecessors, in that, like the so in this modern time, of course, you can't say that kind of life.
So modernisation is not about scrapping the past.
It's
about
not.
bringing
It's
and
not.
adapting. So you can
Exactly.
keep climbing the platform for
Absolutely.
big traditional events,
Yes.
whereas the day-to-day
Like, for example, now we had an incident, 2 years ago. The mosque outside went down. It was a very painful decision. After several consultations with experts, I had no option but to pull it down because it went down on a Friday, and some people were crushed to death. And so when the idea of removing the structure there that was built in the 1830s, it was a very difficult decision, sentiment, and even me personally want to run the structure. All the experts, about 6, 7 different organizations, professional organizations, the material. So, it was there for 182 years.
Yeah.
So now what we're building today, I believe it will, maybe God willing, stay for the next 300-500 years.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's my approach. And even internally, there's a building that's almost 5 centuries there. What did I do when I came? I preserved and then restored, the areas that were bad. So it's looking very good now. A lot of things, correspondences, where you were, correspondence we have just finished, writing a book, a compendium, history of Sokoto Zazzau Emirate from 1804 to date. They're just reviewing the book now, and God willing, I'm looking at. I'm not sure if it will be possible on my birthday in June, but maybe in the next 1 month or two, I will, present it to the public. So I have reached that stage because I've already produced the dummy copy. So the book reviewer is going through the book at least to make it simple.
I'll make sure that I take a copy back to England to my museum when I go.
Even if you are gone, I'll surely send it to you to update your records. Because we realized that, there was a huge gap from 1950 to date. Nothing was documented about this language. So this is about 75 years, or thereabouts. So it's very wrong. So that's why
it was needed.
It was needed. There was a book written by one of the British colonial officers, and that's M.G. Smith. And it was published in 1950. So there was some contradictions to settle. To see how we can document the emerge, for this period. So instead of just doing 50 today, the previous work was not out, and there were issues with the book. So we have 19 images from inception. It's not for to date. So each image of his period, and about him and also his period. So I believe it is going to be a very good document for people to know about our emirate. And again, the phase 2, which is supposed to be the phase 1 of the book, we want to write about the pre-Fulani period, that is the Happy Root, and with the plans, to also write what we did for Fulani, and then, have something solid, brandish in our history, which will be all encompassing the Happy period and then the Fulani period. So we've started the Fulani period because that's our own period. We can lay our hands on those information. You see, the house of period, was 700 years before the coming of the Fulani. Yes.
And that's the tradition that you have to bring together in this book in order to present to the world today.
Exactly.
To say that was the past. So if I can ask you two more questions, as that's okay. This one's very much about today. You're a great advocate for peace and unity. And when you go to the State Council of Chiefs and you're talking about security, and again, a lot of people in the Western media or in the global North will see the insecurity in all of its forms in northern Nigeria in particular as a real big challenge. How do you have that peace and unity approach and draw on your diplomatic past, but also your understanding of the law as a lawyer, but also the finances that are needed as a banker in order to do these things?
Well, you see, the issue of security, I don't think if there's any country in the world that is not interested in peace. I don't think. And going by that, I believe Nigeria cannot survive if there is no peace. And, of the problems, yes, differs from place to place. But that's exactly what is on. And I people who believe that, people here, especially we in the North, that have been criminalized, that as if people are promoting, killings of. My professor then was one Professor Sultan Barakat. I see him every day now on CNN. You know, he has gone back to another university, maybe in the Middle East or somewhere. You see, we were picked from, I think, about 12 conflicting countries at that time. Came from Nigeria, someone from Bosnia, someone from Israel, from Palestine, from Kenya, from you know, representing the conflict in his country. We diagnosed it, and then, of course, we got to understand the magnitude of the problems. Like, okay, like harder farmer conflict. My dissertation at that time was on, a conflict between a tribe called Negatan and can't remember the other name. This conflict between the pastoralists, between Addis Ababa and Kenya. And someone did about my own country.
So my final question is about the future. And I think anybody in their right mind who comes to Nigeria and doesn't understand or see the amazing young people that exist, their ability to solve problems, we need to be working with young people to be able to help them to move forward and take Nigeria into the next decades as we go ahead.
About 200 students, from Kaduna State University. What are they coming here for? They are coming here to watch what we do, in terms of dispute resolution. Like dispute resolution, now we have been able to remove over 1,000 cases from the conventional courts the last 2 years, to address here under the alternative dispute resolution window. So, and that is making a lot of impact, and other related matters. We handle it here, and our people would rather come here because of the speedy dispensation of justice, almost instantly, as against you going through lawyers, the conventional court, adjourning and adjourning matters. Exactly, and might take years for you before you get final, resolution on matters.
I was 60 a few weeks ago, so can I be the first to wish you a happy 60th in June, a few weeks' time? Thank you very much. Hello, my name is John Costa, founder of the Conflict Memory Education Centre, an independent museum based in Leicester, UK. My vision was to have 10 documentary archives that focus on recent wars and periods of political violence. The aim is educational, offering material that helps people understand the lived experiences of those affected by conflict and how those experiences relate to wider historical and political development. Now, the Conflict Memory Education Centre, an independent registered museum, is designed to support formal and informal education. The material will be made available for use in workshops, academic courses and exhibitions. Through the use of documentary media, film, photography, audio recordings and new media, we will help to open up conversations about complex histories and their ongoing relevance. In this short explainer video, I'd like to show you the archive on Chechnya. Sinta. Sinta is from the Chechen word for sapling or small tree, and it will document the devastating consequences of both the first and the situation. Grozny, urban areas, interviews with civilians, and media documenting the long-term effects of the conflict. It will contribute to the limited but growing body of material accessible for understanding the impact of the wars on civilian populations in the Northern Caucasus, a region of the world that is still in our news today with its continued strained relations with Russia. Working alongside different journalists with direct experience of both wars with Russia, the archive will attempt to give voice to those impacted directly and those in the diaspora who wish nothing more than to return home. By developing these archives, the Conflict Memory Education Centre contributes to the documentation of conflict from a community perspective. The project remains open to further contributions and partnerships. Now, I've created 4 archives already, focused on Afghanistan, Iraq, Ukraine and Nigeria. There are further 5 archives in the pipeline being launched before the end of the year. These include Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Cambodia, Rwanda and finally Latin America. We're still open for contributions and partnerships, so please do get in touch. Thank you for watching.
Spotlight on S24 television. Today, we're going to spotlight a topic that relates to the independence of Nigeria, 65 years, and what women have been able to get on the table for this 65 years. I know it's a long period. Together with me to dissect what women are actually getting in this current dispensation and to look back to 65 years ago is Honorable Zainab Buba Galadima. She's a lot of things at once, so I'll just give the mic to her to do introduction. Can you please take us through what you do?
Okay, I'm a mother, an entrepreneur, a poet, a social change advocate, and not a full
carbs or you do a lot of Nigeria is still in independent university, and you're a woman, you've do politics, you've seen the way women haven't sit on the table. What will you describe that as 65 years on? And you can treat it down to, say, in the past, maybe 8 years, 9 years. What seats do you think, relevant seats, are women given on the table as it is?
Well, I know there's a mandatory seat. For example, maybe Commissioner of Women Affairs, Minister of Women Affairs. Those ones are given, and just a few others. Not as much as, not up to 35%, which I feel like it's very low. And also when it comes to electoral offices, not many women are being given those opportunities. Well, I know it's a contest, and it's really hard for women to, scale through when they aspire to any of those seats. So because of so many factors that affects, maybe funding, maybe lack of mentorship, maybe the godfatherism aspect. A lot of women, I feel we come together as women and we find those men that would support. I don't want just any woman. It's not about just any woman. It's about women that have something to offer.
Yeah.
Women that are competent, women that are consistent in anything good that they do. So these are the challenges. And
So I'm 65 years on. I'm sure that you've got so many things to say. As it is in the country, the economic situation, the poverty rate, the multi-dimensional poverty rate in Nigeria, and all of that are things that people are really concerned about. 65 years on, what do you think in the past years is changing in terms of getting people economically empowered?
well, I think a lot of people are seeking for alternatives to become economically independent, not really relying on the government. People creating opportunities for themselves, which is very big now, especially in the north, for example. A lot of women are doing businesses, they're engaging in businesses, they're holding the family together. So these are things. And with the coming of technology, a lot of people are venturing into, innovative things. And I think it's another aspect, but sometimes the government doesn't really encourage people to be on their own.
Enabling environment.
The enabling environment, the ease of doing business is not so great because of how things have deteriorated and how expensive things are, because you cannot run a business without having an operating capital kind of thing, or there's so many charges or taxes around. So these are things that need to be looked into and make small businesses thrive, and there should be some support from the government. And also a lot of people need to, if you're getting into a business or if you're getting into anything, you need to have better knowledge of what you're getting yourself into. You need to be well equipped, so that when you start, you won't make as much mistakes.
Or you don't get stuck on the way.
Yeah, so those are the things.
65 years on, would you say Nigeria is truly independent?
Not really. We're not. We just think we are. We think the idea of being independent, I think that is what is in our heads. Because we still depend on other countries to borrow us money. We still depend on so many things. We copy so many things, and I feel like there's so much we can offer as a country with mineral resources, natural resources, but I still feel like not utilizing what God has given. This somebody of a challenge, because they changed it and a lot of us are finding it difficult to keep to the words. So that's number one. The act of patriotism,
It's no longer there.
It's no longer
it's
there.
really minimal.
It's minimal. People forget that this is the country they should love. People forget about that. And you don't blame them, because so many people are concerned about the challenges they face. So it's not. So really, if they would be asked this question, I think they would want us to be better.
So would you say when you came out this morning, I'm sure that you've been to multiple places today.
Yes.
What mood did you see in Nigerians? When it is Independence Day, you see celebratory mood everywhere. What mood did you see? And do you think that Nigerians still got a kind of belief that this country will work?
Well, the mood I saw, it's just a regular mood. I just saw one person just selling flags and he was just waving them around. That was all I saw.
Which is not the normal.
Yeah, it's not, because usually we have Independence Day party, people in their homes, they celebrate. Do you understand? They call friends, they come together, there will be fireworks and all those things. So, we've lost that. The motivation is not really there. And on your question about how...
Whether there is belief in people's faces?
Not really, because there's not much trust going on. And I just hate to be a party pooper or somebody that likes to be negative all the time, but you can't help it. Sometimes this is what is happening. So I just wish things would change for better. I just wish a lot of our leaders consider the path of transparency and accountability and service as well.
Do you think it's something, because when you say transparency and accountability, we're far from it as a country? Because as citizens, we are not doing our own due diligence to make sure that we hold people in places of authority accountable, because of course you elected someone, you should be able to follow through whatever it is. Do you think it is doable to get leaders accountable and transparent in their dealings?
Absolutely, it is very possible. People are getting more enlightened. I know it's not something that you can just do tomorrow or in 2027, but it's a gradual process. Many developing countries had to go through so many hurdles to be able to get to where they are. So as Nigerians, as citizens, we have a lot to do. Because I think that if we choose our leaders this way and we do not ask for transparency or accountability, it is our fault. So if these leaders know that if you get that, this is what we expect from you, this would encourage them to fix the system, because we have a systemic problem. It's not even about the individual. Like I always say, no matter how bad somebody is, as long as the system works, it will take care of that person's excesses. But if there isn't, then we keep getting the same crop of leaders in a very bad way, and they keep getting worse. And every single day you see a leader, if he leaves, they'll be like, oh, we wish this one comes back.
Yeah.
You know, so it's the system. You know, sometimes I've been on corridors of power. I've been in positions where at least I contributed my own quota. Sometimes if you mean well and you really want to serve the people, it's really hard, because there's so many factors that limit you.
Next?
You to actually, doing your best sometimes, and then at the end of the day, your best is not really noticeable or doesn't really make a difference, especially if you're the only one that has the vision. So we really have a lot of work to do from the home front. We've lost the family values in the society. We've lost there's moral decadence, things like that. These are things that we need to address. If not, then I don't know where we would go, because there's so many issues that are just waiting to explode.
Yeah, like a ticking time bomb.
Yeah, so we really...
It's a lot. So what does independence mean to you personally?
This one. Well, really, to be honest, I don't feel the zeal. I don't feel it anymore. Every single day you keep getting disappointed. And so sometimes you lose that touch, but I just wish really what independence means is for us as a people, the owners of this land, able to pilot the affairs of our company for progress and for a greater nation.
Free of any external or internal influence somewhere.
There are influences. Is the one you choose. It can be positive, it can be negative, but be smart about it. Be diplomatic about it.
The problem is that according to paper, we are independent, but a lot of people still see that Nigeria is under neo-colonialism. Yes. So why do we get to election circles and our maybe aspirant needs to go somewhere else to prove to the world that they are vying for that position? It's really a crazy thing. As a part-time politician,
yeah.
I know there are a lot you might want to do as a person, but if you don't have that political seat, you're not able to effect that change. Do you ever think women can take seat of power in Nigeria and make a difference? Because there is the notion that women are the weaker gender, and then some will even say we've got a type of brain that probably not able to go for a position of leadership. As Muslims, there is restrictions in some certain way. Do you think women can make a difference, counterpart, if given opportunities on the national scale? Say, the presidency.
Maybe steps. But when you say women, I don't believe it. That's but I feel like they come from a place of emotions. You use emotional, but when you look at, is it Venezuela, doing very well, and women are their leaders. So there are women that, you know, you know, there are women that have the, you know, that are lion-hearted. There are women that actually really mean well. They really want to do well, and if given the opportunity, they would. And same like men. There are men weak, you know, you know, they get influenced easily. They're not. So it just depends on who the person is. Believe in women being weak. I don't know, but once you have a strong woman with great discipline and determination, with strong emotional intelligence, I feel like she could do a lot more. You know, so positions, yeah, we can, but the thing is, let your values speak before your voice. I think once you have that and you sort of believe in yourself and your self-worth, I think you can go places despite restrictions. Yeah.
So what should we expect from you as a term politician in the...
Well, I am just concerned about my social change advocacy. That's what I want to, you know, be strong about. I'm not really interested in running for office now because I think it's a bit of a hassle and I have some personal issues I need to take care of. So it's not, but on my own part, and being in politics doesn't mean having to run for office. You could be in the background and make contributions.
Yeah. So many advanced goals. You find people fully involved in partisan politics, I mean, in the party level, but they're not the faces you see contesting for elections. I just don't know why it's only in our nation that once you are a politician, you're expected to just, or you're in a partisan politics, you're expected to just vie for office. And we'll change that.
Yeah, and it's just advocacy, you know, telling people that it's not just, you know, running for office. You know, there are appointive positions. You know, there are people that go through the civil service and they're doing well. You know, so there's a lot women can do, and you know, other people can do, and you can also create your own opportunity, set up something that will give you a place at the table. And really, now there are some establishments that really there are no tables. They don't even invite women, young people. So you bring your own table and start it up. So
before your one message to call it a day, I would like to do like a fireside round, like 2 or 3 questions. Okay. So if you have to choose between protest or writing to appropriate authorities for change, what will you choose?
None.
Why?
Because when you write, probably it doesn't really even see the light of day. And when you protest, sometimes miscreants
take over.
And even if sometimes you mean well, the other people you're protesting against, they try to, by using committees and other things. So I think it's dialogue. Once you have numbers, you don't like numbers, just like I said earlier, you don't like numbers. So instead of protesting, you could, you know, penetrate, you know, different mindsets. And when they see that manifesting, I think that's something that could make a difference. But I don't know, I just feel like Nigeria is not a place where the process actually sees the light. You can write one time and the person that you wrote to doesn't even know you're doing. Just like when you submit a CV, you just says, you know,
table.
So exactly, that is what will happen, because there are some people that would see that paper and it affects them, and they would not want that paper to go further.
For people who don't know what Miyoko is, it's actually a bean cake fryer seller.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you had to choose between democracy and military rule, which would you?
Both have their positives and negatives.
Choose one.
I prefer military.
Okay, you prefer military. Why?
Because there's law and order. People obey rules. Most of this nonsense that is happening.
Under democracy?
Yes, because there are no consequences for actions. People do things and they get away with it. But in the military, you can't go to the barracks even now and try and do nonsense. You know that is not going to happen. They will not, you don't even start it.
So you were
because there's discipline, there is law, and so you face it.
Yeah.
So people don't try that.
So you were trying to say there are the good sides to both. So do you really like to say something about it?
You know, in military, they might say maybe there might be human rights abuses.
Or with democracy.
With democracy, sometimes it's even more.
Okay.
Do you understand? Both have their, and everywhere there's corruption. You can't just single it out. But the thing is, we just hope that there are people that have that. Only God knows the mind of a person. So it's really
And lastly, revolution or systemic restructuring?
systemic restructuring.
Thank you. So one message to the Nigerian public. Where you go.
Let's contribute our quarter to make Nigeria greater.
Thank you so much. And that's it on Spotlight on today with Honorable Zainab Buba Galadima, where we've touched light so many things. I'm sure you'll enjoy this episode. Many thanks for joining us again. See you again next time. Bye for now.
Nigerian origin Conservative Party leader stirred controversy with recent remarks about her childhood in Nigeria. She revealed that she no longer identifies as Nigerian and has not renewed her Nigerian passport since the early 2000s. Speaking to a UK audience, she described her boarding experience as, in her words, like being in prison. Born in Wimbledon, 1980, part of childhood in Nigeria, the UK at 16. A move she says was prompted by Nigeria's worsening political and economic climate, as well as the need to continue her education. Bednock described her time at the Federal Government Girls' College in Shagamu, Ogun State, as like being in prison. The school, part of Nigeria's network of unity schools designed to foster national integration, became her home at the age 11. She recalled overcrowded dormitories with up to 30 girls in a room, a lack of running water, fetching bucket from wells, cutting grass with machetes, and cleaning toilet herself. To her, the environment felt more like detention than education. In Nigeria, the remark have sparked debate. Some former students dispute the prison comparison, saying that while the conditions were tough, they still instilled resilience and forged lifelong friendship among them. Others agree with her account, pointing to chronic underfunding and neglect that have long plagued many public schools in Nigeria. This is not the first time Bednock's comment about Nigeria have drawn criticism. Last year, she described growing up amid fear, insecurity, and corruption. Nigeria's Vice President Kashim Shettima responded that his government was Bednock in spite of her effort at denigrating her nation of origin. A spokesperson for Bednock rejected criticism. Her account raises wider question. How do personal experience shape a country's image abroad? Who has the authority to define that narrative? For Bednock, her Shagamu years were a test of endurance. For her critics, they represent just one chapter in a more broader Nigerian story. What are your thoughts? Do you agree with Bednock's view or do you see it differently? Let's meet in the comment section.
Violent clash between farmers and herders. To an outsider, Nigeria appears to be a nation in flames. But what's the real story? The economic transformations, a new well as in infrastructure, energy, and manufacturing. Why does negative news about Nigeria dominate the headlines? To understand Nigeria today, we look back to the country created by the British in 1914. The British colonial administration grouped more than 300 ethnic groups speaking roughly 500 different languages. For many local communities, Nigeria as a political entity does not mean much. Ethnic minorities frequently clash with major ethnic groups for political power concentrated at the center.
Best example of this distrust is, or rather the failure of government is this distrust. The more governance fails, the more people look for a reason. And the easiest reason you will find is to apportion enemies. I also think politicians have not helped matters. They've weaponized violence, and in weaponizing violence, they look for identities. So if you're Hausa or Muslim, or if you're Birom and Christian, or if you're whatever tribe, you find a reason to unite your people together. And once there is a difference and you want to take advantage of that difference, you highlight those differences, so leading to further mistrust.
I think I have 5 major reasons, to my humble opinion, on why this issue is happening. First, it started since time immemorial with the amalgamation of the Northern and the Southern Protectorate in 1914 by Lugard. And secondly, it's political, it's pure politics. And my other reason is our politicians are using it as a tool for them, because according to Karl Marx, religion is an opium of the masses, which most of our leaders and our political class are using it in order for them to get into public office. As we approach 2027 election, so things like this may likely happen.
Modern Nigeria is a federation of 36 states and a federal capital territory divided into 6 geographical zones: the Northwest, Northeast, North Central, Southwest, Southeast, and South-South. One of the deepest fault lines in the country is fueled by ethnic and religious tensions. While Christianity and Islam are practiced freely nationwide, the North is predominantly Muslim and the South has a larger Christian population. Then came oil, and everything changed. By 1967, Nigeria produced 100,000 barrels of crude per day. And many Nigerians wallowing in poverty. The World Bank predicts poverty will rise in Nigeria by 3.6% amid a rapid population growth exceeding 237 million. In the 1960s, agriculture, once the mainstay of the economy, declined dramatically. Agricultural share of the gross national product dropped from 63.4% to 55.6% in just 1 year. Food imports soared, reaching 46.1 million naira by 1965 and climbing ever since. The decline in agriculture destroyed Nigeria's long-term economic independence. The famous groundnut pyramids in Kano, the palm oil plantations in the Bight of Benin, the thriving cocoa industry in the southwest all disappeared. The 1967 coup and subsequent counter-coups deepened ethnic divisions. Each side counted casualties as justification for outrage. Culturally, economically, and religiously, the dynamics of us versus them became embedded in the Nigerian psyche. And now, in the age of digital media, these ethnic and religious divisions are amplified by separatist groups and politicians, making it harder than ever to see the full picture. In October 2025, President Trump's allegations of a Christian genocide exposed Nigeria's deep-seated religious and ethnic rights. There are multiple identities here triggered by the economy. Conflicts here are identity-based and motivated by struggle for resources and power.
Well, it's quite unfortunate that this kind of thing is happening in this country. Our government have allowed this thing to degenerate to this situation. These things are happening. There is a saying that if you throw a stone into a market square, You never can tell who may be hot. When this thing started, if the Nigerian government would have confronted this issue of insecurity earlier on, it would have not have, degenerated to this situation. If you look at the kind of killings across Nigeria, they kill both Christians and Muslims. In the north, people like us who grew up in Burma, primary school, secondary school, in the mix of Muslims, and we're able to live together. But unfortunately, when we started this 1999 democracy up to this period, politicians have destroyed this country with their various antics. Well, for the position of Trump, if Trump had said, based his arguments on insecurity in Nigeria, it would have just been the best, so that they can go ahead and deal with these people. As it is today, you and I, you are a Muslim and a Christian. We cannot carry arms and fight ourselves. But the bad ones are everyone have bad people among ourselves. And again, if you look at the kind of killings, particularly in the Middle Belt, in Plateau, in Benue, at a point, autumn have to come up a burial ceremony, something like that. The world over, look at corpses and dead bodies. People attack people in their own, in their sleep, kill them. It wasn't even enough for them. Carry the dead ones to go and bury. As they gather for the burial, people still go to kill people. Go to some communities in Plateau State today, or whoever they are, they have chased the indigenous communities and are selling their right now as I speak. So people have homes.
I heard about the genocide allegation, where Trump talking about sending Nigeria to prevent what is happening in the country. Yes, to me as a person, I'm fully in support of that, because from many years ago, Christians particularly have been suffer of innocent death that we are not aware of.
Then what are we doing about the killing in Nigeria? Then we should wake up to that. Stop the killing. Christians are dying, Muslims are dying. It's on record that in Katsina of recent, people went to the mosque and killed people, innocent people praying. They killed them. Ondo or so, they went into the church, killed worshippers. Who are these people? For me, I know it's not our Nigerian Fulani. Our Nigerian Fulani, then that we know them, they are very peaceful. The Hausas are peaceful, the Yorubas are peaceful, the Igbos are peaceful. These jihadists, I'm sure they came in from Mauritania, whatever Muslim country. What are our government done about it? People are there, what are our government about it?
Kamar Najeriya ita ma ƙasa ne mai gashin kanta. Kuma shi wannan magana da ke faɗa, in kika duba da yanayin yadda nake zaune da kiristoci a nan Najeriya, kowa ya san ana kashe musulmai, ana kashe kirista. Su kansa kiristocin arewa ya kamata a ce su duba wannan magana, akwai abin duba a cikinta. Kamakon kika lura da abubuwan da suke faruwa a Zamfara, abubuwan da suke faruwa a Katsina, ba tsarin local government da sauran local government da abubuwan da suke faruwa. Ana kisa to, amma mu matsalar mutanenmu suna da kamar rashin yadda da irin kamar social media. Inda a ce suna ɗaukan hoto, suna posting, suna waye, suna sawa a social media, dole mutane za su san wannan abu.
Shugaban ƙasar Amerika wannan zalunci ne kawai irin nasu. Mu Najeriya muna zaman lafiya tsakanin mu da kiristocin mu. Sai dai abinda ba rasa ba, siyasa yana shiga ciki. Amma maganan kashe-kashe mu ba ma kashe junanmu. In ma dai kashe-kashe ne, ya arewa ake kashe-kashe, musulmai kuma ake kashewa. Wace ƙasa ce ta taɓa fitowa ta yi magana akan abin da ake faruwa a arewa, wanda duk duniya ba wanda ba su sani ba yanzu nan? Bandits suna nan, ba dare ba rana, Boko Haram suna nan, duk suna yankin arewa ne. A wani yanki suke a kudu? Wa ake tabawa a kudu?
To me, it's just a political charade, it's just a political gimmick that is actually being used by the American president, because you can't just come into a sovereign country like Cuba, Cambodia, and some other countries in the world. Christian can marry a Muslim can marry a Christian. I think America, they are trying to show their myopic understanding on what's actually going on in Nigeria.
And based on the figures that we calculated, 9,438 Nigerians have been killed from January to the end of October 2025. An average of about 1,000 Nigerians are being killed monthly if you divide that 9,400 close by 10. But the good thing is that from around May, we started seeing a reduction. The peak period was in April 2025 when we recorded about 1,300 deaths. But then since then, the numbers have been dropping. The figure for October was 600 deaths. So when you compare to the 1,300, that's almost about a 50% reduction. So it appears that whatever the government is doing, it's leading to a reduction in the fatality rate. Now, when we look at abduction, which is the other metric, so what is concerning regarding the trend is the fact that single. If you look at the some would argue that it's 50-50. Others wouldn't tell you because of the cultural factors that are around Muslims than Christians. So some would even say 60-40. So even if you pick the most conservative proportion, which is 50-50, and you now use that 9,400 that I mentioned, it would now mean that probably about 4,500 Christians were killed, and then 4,500 Muslims were killed. But then it's not that simple, in the sense that when we broke down the figure, this 9,500, the state was most affected was Borno State. Now, if you look at the proportion of Muslims in Borno State compared to the proportions of Christians, it's about 80% Muslims to 20% Christians. And I will justify this. There are 27 local governments in Borno, 22 of which are predominantly Muslims, while about 5 are Christian dominated. And that's how we came to this proportion of 80 Muslims and 20% Christians. So, which means if you pick the most affected states like Borno, Zamfara, Katsina, and then of course you go to Benue, Plateau, Niger, Kaduna, you find out that most of the states that are worst affected are Muslim states, which would now lead you to the local conclusion that more Muslims are affected than Christians. And it's now shocking, actually, and surprising that Trump now selectively indicates that Christians are being targeted. But the reality is that
what's really going on in Nigeria, a far more complex story of religious divisions with struggles to scarce resources that goes deeper beyond the headlines you see.
A towering giant has fallen, a chapter closed, but the story of a legend echoes beyond the final breath. Let's take a look at key learn from the life of the late Alhaji Aminu Ntata. Alhaji Aminu Alhassan Ntata, businessman, philanthropist, and elder statesman, passed away in Abu Dhabi on June 28, 2025, at the age of 94. His body was laid to rest in the holy city of Medina. From kola nut trader to empire builder, Ntata's journey began in the dusty streets of Kano. By 17, he was already leading the family business founded in Bichi, a lineage of wealth, wisdom and work ethics passed down by his father, Al-Hassan Ntata, once West Africa's richest man. The late Ntata is an uncle to Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote. Alhaji Amina Al-Hassan industries in agriculture, real estate, manufacturing, economy, but it never forget poor. 2024 alone, he donated 1.5 billion naira in Borno. Across Nigeria, his philanthropy became folklore, quiet, vast, and life-saving. President sought his blessings. Scholars like US-based Dr. Yasser Qadi called him a shining star and a legendary icon. Northern governors declared his death a national loss. President Bola Tinubu called it monumental, and indeed it is. Then that balls meant nothing if it did not uplift others. He lived in Kano's poorest quarters, taught children to build from dust, and showed that dignity isn't won, it is lived. Alhaji Aminu Ntata is gone, but his values, humility, dedication, and devotion endure. He did not just build wealth, unfading kind of hope. And in humanity, that is the rarest wealth of all. May Allah have mercy on his soul and grant him Jannatul Firdaus.
You wake up one morning in Abuja, and your favorite loaf of bread is now 1,500 naira. Yesterday, it was 500 naira. Next week, it will be 2,000 naira. You have the same money in your wallet, but somehow you can't afford to buy much with it. This is inflation. Inflation has and loses value. Despite the improving, food prices are high while many Nigerians earn less.
I earned only 35,000 naira in a month, and I paid 800 naira for transport every day, and I feed like 1,000 a day. I spend rent. Everything's hard.
What you buy with your money? What can you buy 50 naira today? Pure water, and you could buy one egg for 50 naira. Now it's 200 naira. When your naira can buy less food, less fuel, and less of everything, it loses its value. So how did Nigeria get here? Prices have been rising at over 30% annually. There's an estimated 30.6 million Nigerians at risk of food insecurity. Why is this happening? Nigeria's major source of income is oil. When the country sells oil, wealth in dollars. But when oil prices drop, Nigeria earns less money. Inflation is a redistribution of power. With the removal of fuel subsidy in 2023, the cost of fuel rose by more than 200%.
Kalubale da yawa saboda ya jawo abubuwa su yawa waɗanda suka na ɗaya lokacin da muna shan mai mu cika tankin keke mu 1,200 za mu ɗauki kuma naira 50 zuwa yawa karamin tanki na keke na fef an benefit kamar naira 8,000 sana za ka kana ɗaukar mutane naira 300 zuwa ewa a 300 wanda zai ce ka taimaka shi a 200 a cikin mutum 100 mutum in zai taimaka mana 200 gari kuma ba za iya cewa ba za mu taimaka ba muna ɗauka kai mutum ya ba mu 200 ƙarshe idan muka zo muka zafa za mu zo za ka cire kuɗin falas za ka cire kuɗin da za ka mai keke karis da wasu ka ajiye kuɗin ka share su zuwa gobe
From the farms to markets, transportation now costs more because of fuel prices. This in turn affects the price of everything. The market woman bought a basket of tomatoes 2005. Your money land, stocks, and maybe even foreign currencies. So if you're living naira to naira, watching prices double while your salary stays flat, you're getting poorer every single day without spending a kobo. In reality, inflation will day without spending a kobo. In reality, inflation is a measure of whose labor, whose time, whose life is being slowly devalued. When one business raises its prices, it leads to other businesses raising their prices too. And so the endless cycle of inflation continues.
Good afternoon and welcome to Spotlight right on S24 television. Today we speak to a man whose words often arrive with anger, discomfort, pain and urgency. Ibrahim Garbawala, popularly known as Ajiwala, is known publicly as an anti-corruption activist, human rights advocate, entrepreneur, environmentalist and political voice. But beyond the public titles, he represents something far more complicated, the voice of a who believes Nigeria is not simply failing by accident, but failing by ability to join structural protests is independent. Nigeria's leadership. He warned the silence of Nigeria should not be mistaken for consent, but as a record of greed being kept by the next generation. Today, we are not here to praise we're here to attack him at all. We're here to interrogate the argument. Is modern silence really silence? Is hunger a weapon in citizenship? Who benefits when legitimate anger becomes chaos? Can discipline treat? What does IGI now see in the ABC and its handshake movement? This can change Nigeria's political culture. S24 Light on IGWala. I know you like for us to address you as comrade.
Yes. Well, Halima, thank you very much. I couldn't believe what I had. Was that a citation?
It's an introduction.
Wow.
You work so many
I've never had that. I'm honored.
Thank you so much
Yes.
for, within a very short period of time, agreeing to come on this show. We really appreciate that. And we need to apologize to our viewers that we said we're going to start at 12 o'clock, but we're behind schedule. It was due to technical glitches and the Nigerian road thing. You know, sometimes you expect to arrive at a destination in a particular time, and maybe road congestion gives you a different outlook entirely. Again, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So let's start with this. Who is IGWala when the slogans are removed? Because you wear so many caps, but who are you when the slogans are removed?
Yeah, Well, I studied well as that activist. I in that position. So, So, but activism, I think there's a about that word, or probably that it's all about being an active citizen, refusing to just go along with what the system is offering. When you begin to tilt the tide and you begin to feel like you go with the forces that are pulling us towards this direction because it's not working for us. And so I decided to speak. So when you speak, it's just on a small matter, for as long as it has to do with those people's life, you'll be treated as an activist.
Yes,
obviously.
that's the reality in Nigeria, and it's everywhere. When you speak for the masses,
you
for
have
the
to
people
speak
affected,
for others, because for speaking for others, you're speaking for yourself. And also looking into, especially when you look at the majority, they are not as privileged as you are. And when you don't agree with that, you feel, no, you could just decide on your own to speak for convenience whenever it matters to you alone. No, you can't be referred to as an activist. But when you speak on issues that cut across the divides, irrespective of whatever correlation or whatever kind of dichotomy, for us, in the interest of humanity, and I think
it is affecting the people of their region, they are out of it, if not. Because actually, when it comes to insecurity, a lot of people feel like when there is maybe silence, it's known for a region, and when it is another region, they are very loud, something like that. And
but what
the
happened
fact that
when it goes round?
When it goes round, now that it's going round, I think we're trying to find our fit as a people, and this is where I think the most work needs to be done. So now let's go to what actually spurred your attention to start activism. What?
Thank you. I think this is a privilege for me to be active. I was when I thought of building lives to the extent that I was able to call recruitment, because there was a kind of a proof of concept at the extent that people were seeing us vividly on the streets. That's the product was coming up then. Now, suddenly, when I called for not less than 50 people, I wanted to have structures across the country. Suddenly, that's the information we asked to do with the company. That's what we got over 2,000 proposals, like CVs.
For 50 positions?
For just, in fact, less than 50 positions. But what happened was the very day, the streets, we had over 1,000 people on the streets. Yes, even when we shortlisted. In fact, it took somebody from the authority to use his convoy to drive into the crowd, force himself into the office, and begin to ask if we must recruit his own daughter. And I said, no, sir, you cannot intimidate us with your position. For just, I refused that, and active as a citizen. I went to the yes. So I said to myself, no, if I can believe in myself, I think it's high time for everybody to do that.
To believe in themselves.
But how can such individuals, such people also believe in themselves without somebody talking to them? I began to speak. I started talking. And that was how that anger, that frustration, and what I saw about self-confidence and self-belief, and what I saw about self-confidence and self-belief that made me to push and get to that point. I mean, many others can do the same thing. That was the beginning of everything.
So should I say activism?
Well, outside. So I couldn't just move. Yeah. First, there's so much thank God that I survived it. The day I lie down before a moving truck, just to make a statement. We were begging for the police to allow us to actually even stand with the crowd somewhere. They refused.
You turned?
Yes, the only thing I could do was the police tried to move some men and position them with their arms against the crowd. And I was instrumental in pulling most of the people in that crowd. So I felt the safety of those people rely on the decisions I make. And for me to put a stop to that. We begged the police, we negotiated, we asked them to please understand. They refused to. The only thing I could do was, okay, your moving vehicle should crush me. I shouted out. And that was when I saw the pulling out the gun. They said, allow us. That was in the commission of police.
I'm trying to really internalize and see as the one in that position, what would I do? Well, forbid. So we see unequivocally the prison find you.
No, I in the prison.
You did?
Yes.
Please take us through that.
Exactly. In the first place, if we talk about prison in Africa, it's not like starting to look at it from even the matter that took you to the prison. Now, because it was an alarm regarding corruption taking place somewhere else. And alarming that, did it using the social media instruments, the platforms we have.
Yes.
That would have been, if I had not had the opportunity to use the social media,
Internet.
probably these same forces would have actually found a way to cajole me on their side and suppress me, probably use any other person.
If suppression is even the key, because there are people that disappeared. So, yeah.
Thank you. So with that, it now took me to realize that from the moment my voice was out there, pointing out what I saw, that was the very moment they started their own plans. They picked even the policemen to arrest me, the courts. In fact, the person that the courts that they took me to, they also handpicked even the judge. And handpicked even the prison I was to go, handpicked even the prison officers that were actually taking care of. So why I said I learned, I reformed the prison, because when I went in there, it was not a program for even someone as an activist. No, talk more of the criminals, that the prison, we all believe that this is meant for the criminals. Because I checked through the activities in the prison. Halima, I'm telling you this, there is no single program that is actually meant to reform, to correct.
Now that they call it correctional service.
Exactly. I've said this thing, even from the police cell. What I've realized, I've met young people, hear the street, and I refused to buy it. Even right in there, I started fighting for their right, and I said, no, you need somebody to stand by you.
For you?
Yeah, exactly. And stand for you as well, because if you think what you've done is wrong, and you are realizing that, given another chance, you'll never do that again. It's because of the system, it's because of probably some of you people have wrong or bad parenting, and all that. These things actually culminate into what young people are going through. I understand. But when you take these people from the police cell, now you take them to court, the next thing the judge will pronounce whatever he feels like, and the next people find themselves in a black market, being moved to prison. In fact, what I see happening between the police, the judges, that's the court, and also the prison itself, I see a deliberate design to actually create a place where people that are being counted on numbers, so that this serves as an opportunity for a government agencies to be given a budget so that they count the number of people they feed. Yes. Because these people, some of them are innocent, but your number as a criminal, as someone in this correctional center, matters.
Can we correct that? Because I think there's been allegations against these services where there will be budget for feeding the prisoners, their welfare, etc. And at the end of the day, you'll see that what are they doing for the prisoners? If you go to the prison yourself, you see what is obtainable. Myself, I've visited a prison before. I don't want to, following an NGO, I don't want to be part of anything like that again. But do you think we can change that perspective?
No, if we talk about changing the prison, I think it's much more of changing the leadership of this country and changing the mindset of lots of young people right from the time they're in school. Because if we are to build a country, it means we need to actually find where these problems are. And most of these problems are fundamental issues, whereby perception, you can imagine a policeman, just for being a policeman wearing his uniform, he is perfectly feeling like he is much more better than the person he is policing. Now, you see, that's a mindset.
Yeah.
And at the same time, this same policeman is willing to use force, to even use his arm against a citizen who is not even convicted. Even if he's convicted, it's not the policeman that is going to take his gun and aim at that convict. So this is a mindset. That's why I'm saying if you have to change this, because this policeman might actually one day become the Inspector General of the police. And he is part of the policy making and decision making as well.
I think we'll get to the system again. Just briefly, people call you activists. Some call you entrepreneur. Some call you politician. General public in Nigeria call you.
I think it depends on the circumstances that we're in. If I am
well, maybe I would choose entrepreneurship for you, but let's...
Well, if we are to talk about entrepreneurship here,
yeah.
call me an entrepreneur. I will fit in.
Yeah.
But if you have to call me an activist, yeah, I love that more because, sincerely speaking, it's not about wearing the title. It's about motivation. Exactly.
Embodying.
It's
the
a
true
need.
title.
Exactly. So let it be that you're encouraging me to do more of this than just saying, no, you're not an activist anymore, you're a politician. I was like, oh, so you don't want me to talk again about it. Anyway, so whatever circumstances
we want you to embody the best of you. And thank you so much. With this, we'll go on a short break. And Liberty Symposium event is going to be shown at the break. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, it's still Spotlight on, right on S24 television, and we've been speaking to Comrade IG Wala, popularly known as an activist, but I think discipline. And how can Northern Nigeria build a protest culture that